And welcome back to Music Free Static. I hope you're having a fabulous day. And I've been thinking about it's weird. Okay, so I've talked about on the streams. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before too that in my day job, I'm a systems administrator. Okay, I manage servers. I very rarely do networking stuff. I've done a lot. I was a network manager to some extent in a previous job, right? I do a lot of stuff with servers, computers, and things, right? And because of the nature of the modern world, I end up having to do some of that at home too. And I don't like it. Yeah, it's one of those, say, it's not quite bringing work home with me, but sometimes it is. So here's the thing, right? I I love what I do. Okay. I like my job. I like some of the tech stuff. It's not as fun for me as it used to be when I was younger, but it's still something, okay? And because of my 17, 18 years or something doing this, I've developed some skills, okay? I can program, I can do network troubleshooting, right? I can setting up servers is just what I do. Okay. I don't always want to do it when I come home though, right? And this is weird. I don't know if any of you have this issue, right? You have a hobby or you have work skills that can help you in your personal life, but you don't really want to use them in your personal life because it's like I do this all day. I don't want to do this at home, right? There was there was a joke on, I think it was on Friends many years ago, and Rachel was talking to a doctor, and he was he was saying he had a hard time, you know, with relationships or something like that, and they went on, but he asked her what she did. She says, "Well, I'm a waitress." He says, "Okay. Do you ever have those days where if you see just one more cup of coffee, right now?" The joke was a little bit more because of what the doctor specialized in, but that's sort of the issues, right? If you come home, it's like, great, I could really use a cup of coffee. I don't want to look at another cup of coffee because I've been dealing with it all day, right? It's that same sort of thing. I deal with servers all day. When I come home, I don't necessarily want to deal with computer troubleshooting of any sort. And I've never really enjoyed desktop troubleshooting. I did that for my first few years of my career. I did tech support, and even when I started taking over as a sysadmin as the only sysadmin at the ISP I worked at, I still was backup for tech support. And later, when I was managing the help desk, yeah, and occasionally I'd have to take calls, and I did not enjoy, not high on my list of things to do. So it's when it came time to get my kids a desktop, I got them a Chromebook, or actually, initially I got them a Chromebox, so that they, so connect up to the monitors and stuff. But what it's just a little bit cheaper, and it wasn't much more than what they needed, or much less than what you would get out of a Windows laptop or even a Linux laptop at that level. And I don't have to manage it, right? Because Chromebooks are great like that, right? I didn't have to be the one to sit there and deal with updates and all that. Now, in some ways, desktop computing has gotten a little easier because updates are kind of automatic with most of your main apps. Browsers are updated automatically. Windows updates automatically. I think iOS updates automatically as well. I'm not a Mac guy. I don't have Macs. I don't like Macs. I use one at work, not as my main desktop, but because I need one for testing. And I don't enjoy using it. It's just not a good experience for me. And when I come home, that troubleshooting, that tech stuff, not most of the time, I don't have to, right? The reality is stuff just runs and it's great. But it just, when it doesn't, I don't want to fix it. You know, and admittedly, it's me just being whiny. Okay. Now, my personal motto is there's no situation so bad that complaining about it won't make it worse. And yeah, I sort of end up whining and complaining about troubleshooting. So yesterday was great. I've been having issues with my internet off and on for a while. But it's always been just a minor annoyance, not enough that I've wanted to do anything about, just enough that it's like, all right, I've got to reload this page once in a while. Oh, my downloads stop. I've got to restart them, that type of thing. It's been getting worse. Connections keep dropping. Like, we sit down and we'll play Discord games with the family sometimes. You know, because we'll just get together on Discord because my family is scattered, right? My kids are in college or have moved out, and we just get together. It's a chance to reconnect as a family, right? And be together as a family. And then we'll pull up games, and often it'll be some of the games on Discord, right? But it was hard for everyone in the house here because we keep getting reconnected, and it sucked. Okay. So it got to the point now when I've been streaming, I've been getting frequent disconnects. And it would drop, and OBS would reconnect to YouTube very quickly. The stream wouldn't drop, but it would lead to buffering for everybody who was watching, which is not a good look. Okay, it's not great, even for people who are willing to put up with it. It's not great, and for those who've never been part of the stream, that's just not fabulous, right? So I finally got all the equipment in yesterday. I say finally, I finally talked to support. That part's on me. And shout out to Spectrum. They were great. Okay. We did the basic troubleshooting. Now, I'd done all of that before because, hey, I have a particular set of skills, right? Not that the router let me do a lot of in-depth troubleshooting and their logs were not fabulous, but this is what I was seeing. And the tech was great. I said, all right, fine. No, this is good. We'll go ahead and we'll ship you replacements for your equipment, and we'll move on. And it was great. So 2 days later, I got the equipment. So I set it up last night, and it looks like everything is working great, except for my wife's computer. And I don't understand this at all. Some sites would work, some sites wouldn't. She had all sorts of weird issues. So, like, eBay wouldn't open. Now, eBay is sort of important for us because that's how we're selling a lot of the stuff that we brought back from my dad's house, okay, after he died. We donated a lot, but there's some stuff that has some value that we don't want to keep, but it's too valuable to just donate, so we're selling it. Plus, it helps pay for the bills and pay for the mortgage we had to take out on the house for renovations, right? Lots of financial ugliness and nonsense on our side. Plus, we have kids in college. Every dime helps, right? But her desktop wasn't working right. And so I had to spend like an hour trying to figure out what was going on with her desktop so that things would work correctly for her. And just reminded me how much I don't like doing that, right? Yes, I have the skills to do network troubleshooting. And desktop troubleshooting and all that, and I just don't like it. But I'm glad I had the skills so that, I wasn't banging my head against the wall for her. Okay, so that was good, and everyone's up and running, and the connections look good, so I'm really looking forward to stream. I recorded this on Saturday before my stream, so here's hoping the stream goes well. If not, this isn't going to age nearly as well as I'd hope. But it's the same thing also for me with servers. Now, I'm glad I have the skills I have, because there are a few things. I do run my own web server, and I use it for a couple of things. The Music Free Static website, which is desperately in need of an overhaul, that's there. I also do. I run a media server, right? And that was one of those things I'm glad I had the skills for, because I've converted a lot of my DVDs. Not sure I've converted all of them, but I've converted most of them. Actually, I know I haven't converted all of them because I haven't finished doing some of the TV series. Anyway, I've converted a bunch of them to MP4 and put them on a hard drive, or actually multiple hard drives, but I had put them on a hard drive connected to my Roku in the living room, connected to the TV. And that was great for a long time. If the kids wanted to watch a movie, it was all right there. They didn't have to go sorting through discs. Those times anybody's been sick, nobody enjoys being sick, but at least if you're sick on the couch and you can put on a movie and you don't have to get up, oh, that is so nice, right? Okay, cool. Well, fast forward a few years, and now the kids are mostly out of the house. Okay, I've got some that are home and stuff between terms of college and stuff. I'm really excited because my youngest is home for spring break, right? All of this stuff is cool. But my wife is sitting over there at her computer, and she does a lot of stuff there. She's crocheting, and she's working on the eBay store and some of her own stuff, because she designs crochet patterns and things like that. And she likes to put up stuff in the background. She'll listen to YouTube, or she likes to listen to movies, but her desktop isn't at a place where she could see the TV to turn it on. And honestly, she didn't want to annoy the rest of the house by having the TV on all the time, especially because she might want to watch something while I'm streaming and things like that. So, it was sort of annoying. So I built a media server. We had a desktop. It had been our kids' desktop, but they have moved on, and I've got them. The younger two, I'd gotten Chromebooks when they were going to college, and my son, he had a requirement for a very beefy laptop and he went to college because he's majoring in computer science and game design and needed the beef. It was a requirement from the college he's going to. So cool. So I repurposed that desktop, and because I have a particular set of skills, I set up Jellyfin, copied the movies over there, and now she can watch our movie collection from her desk. And my daughter can watch it from upstairs when she's home. She's been working through Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, and great. So she could throw up on her phone or on her desktop or her Chromebook and watch the shows while she's avoiding being with people, I guess. And it's great. I said, I'm glad I have the skills, but I really try not to do this stuff very often. Right? But I don't have to worry about, hey, there's something that's not meeting my needs. Let's see if I can find something that does. I was talking about, I think it was towards the beginning of the year, that I had some things I wanted to change, and I didn't need to change them. I was okay with what was going on. It's just, I had this itch to try to make some things better. And I don't know if they were going to be better or not. I just had to do it. So one of them was my feed reader. So I was using Feedly, and Feedly is a great app. Okay, it works great. I was just using the free edition, and it was fine. Lots of good stuff there. But there were a couple of things that I kind of wanted that it didn't do, and I was sort of wanting to do I wanted to switch to a desktop reader, but with network syncing, so I could read from like my phone and some other stuff. Okay, great. Well, again, I have the set of skills. So I set up, and I have a web server, conveniently enough. So I set up tiny, tiny RSS and started using that. And actually, that ended up being really good because it has some options like some RSS feeds only bring down a summary, and some not even that. It's like here's half a sentence and our picture, right? Whatever picture headlines the article, which is annoying. So it's not always even enough to tell, do I want to read this article or not? And often I would just not, and I would sometimes end up missing stuff that actually might have been really interesting. So Tiny Tiny has this option to it basically use readability and download the content of the article so I can read the content. And this was great. Honestly, this was fabulous because now I said I could read the content. It was a lot more convenient and easier for me to actually get what I needed to do. Plus, they had a plug-in for a couple of comics websites, specifically the Farside.com, right? I like the Far Side. I haven't been able to read it regularly for a while, and my volume of the complete Far Side that's over on the shelf over there is too heavy to just pull out and read a couple of comics. I mean, the thing's a bug smasher. It's huge. So I just, but it was nice. I could say, hey, get the Far Side, and it just pulls the daily comics that they show on the main page. And yes, it has improved my life, right? This is nicer. On the other hand, I have to maintain it. I have to do updates on it regularly. I've got to do updates on the server on a regular basis, right? I don't want to spend time doing that. I want to spend time recording videos for YouTube and streaming and okay, spend less time editing the videos, but this is what I want to do, right? I'd rather do that than spending time managing updates across multiple servers and desktops in my house, right? And because I do it all freaking day, right? Because that's my day job. And I don't necessarily want to bring it home with me, right? I can almost see the analogy too of somebody who works on cars every day or who works in construction. And yes, they can come home and they could build a shelf or they could, change the oil on their car. And to be fair, there's some people that's just the greatest thing ever, and the more times they can spend under the hood of a car, the better, right? But again, it's that if I see one more engine, if I have to level one more shelf, and I get it. We all have our thing. It's like I always feel awkward. Like I have friends who were doctors, like actual medical doctors, right? And I always feel awkward asking them about something when they're not working. Like if I see them at church, it's like, is this something I need to worry about? Because now, one, I'm getting them to use their profession for free, and that's kind of I don't like that. It seems a little it's devaluing their skills, I think. Okay. On the other hand, they're friends. I like to ask them their knowledge. It's like, okay, I can come in to your office and we can do this all official like, but do I need to worry about this, right? So it's weird. I know we all have our skills, right? We all have these things. And we all have jobs that we don't like everything about the job. Sometimes we don't like anything about the job. I've been there. I worked in a deli. I understand this. The one skill I got out of working in the deli is I was able to tell if I was holding a pound of anything in my hand fairly accurately. Half pound or a pound. I had developed, Yep, that feels like a pound. Put it on the scale. Yes, that's a pound. Okay. But that doesn't mean I wanted to come home and slice meat all day, right? It's like I watched my daughter, my oldest, one time. She came home and I forgot what we were making. We might have been making, I don't know what we were making, but it's something that she was putting Parmesan cheese on. And she had spent time working at a pizza shop. And so she's flipped it over and she's shaking out the Parmesan in the special way that pizzerias do. And I'm chuckling a little bit at it. Yeah, it works. It's really efficient. So, is it okay? Yeah, so we do bring some of that home. But the question is, how much of that work do we want to bring home? Not just, okay, I need to sit and finish this report for work, or I feel really bad for teachers, right? Who they spend their day, they're teaching, and then they have to come home and spend another 4 hours grading papers, okay? I feel for those people because that's time that's not on the clock and the work needs to get done, right? I've been there. I spent a year as an adjunct professor. I only had to teach one course each semester, and it sucked. I mean, I love the teaching part of it. Don't get me wrong. That was fabulous. The assignments, writing the assignments, the tests, I didn't like any of that. Okay. I didn't like creating the test. I didn't like grading the test. The students didn't like taking the test. So between everybody, I think we were sort of in the same boat. Right? But that's not the type of bringing work home that I'm really, which again, sucks, right? But I see, hey, I have these skills that I do. I have this stuff I do at work all day. And the last thing I want to do is come home and have to use those skills. And when you're working at something where maybe those skills don't translate, it's less of an issue. It's easier to leave that at home or leave that at work. But when you have something that is applicable at home, it's like, okay, yes, I know how to hang this shelf because I do construction all day. I don't want to put up a shelf, right? That's kind of where I sit sometimes, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And when I was much younger and had a lot more, I don't want to say energy, but yes, there are times that I don't have something that meets my needs. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this code and make it work. Now it's like, if there isn't an app, somebody doesn't have a project, it's like, I'm not going to write this code because I don't want to maintain it. I don't want to have this code become my life, which was why I have mad respect for the developers like the Mix It Up app or OBS for that matter, where it's an open source project. People are working on this in their free time, and I just don't want to spend my free time programming. And I like to program, right? There are times it's been very useful. It's really helped me do stuff for my stream and do other things, but I don't want to spend my free time doing at home what I also do at work. Right? Does that make sense? So if you've got skills like that you have, let me know. Drop something in the comments, and because I'm always curious to see where all of you stand. But it's definitely one of those things that I'm glad I have the skills. I'm glad when I need them at home, I can use them. But I'm also at a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to minimize the times when I need them. So, and on that note, let's go ahead and sign it off. If you want to get access to this podcast early, you can become a member at musicfreegaming.com. Yes, Music Free Gaming, not Music Free Static. Become a member at musicfreegaming.com. You get early access to the audio version of the podcast and some other behind-the-scenes stuff with what's going on in my life, my gaming channels, all that fun stuff, and all that. You get discounts on merch. Cool. So So check that out, musicfreegaming.com. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Free Static signing off.